In 1967, we get Son of Godzilla, which is really pretty divisive amongst fans. But to tell you the truth, I think I can speak for the both of us, really didn't mind it that much. In fact, I dare say this is probably one of my favorite Showa Godzilla movies ever. Stranded scientists must escape an island teeming with gargantuan bugs, Godzilla, and Godzilla's kid. Godzilla is a secondary character.
Once again.
But
why don't I hate this movie, though? I mean, we have it, it's on an island setting. Pretty much you got the same team from Sea Monster back. Why don't we hate it this time?
Could it be because it has an interesting story?
I thought it was a pretty good human plot. I mean, we were both interested by it. It's like a weather research facility on this island that just happens to be plagued by monsters.
But unfortunately, the experiment goes awry, and then they're fucking stranded on this island with goddamn monsters. The Japanese title of this movie, I believe, is called something on Monster Island, Son of Godzilla.
In fact, I think they even mentioned Monster Island in this movie, and that's the first time I've ever heard that in this series. They mentioned some sort of, well, this is a monster island.
Yeah.
Because there's, what, 3 or 4 different monsters in this movie, right?
Godzilla, Kamacuras, Kamanga, and, the Son of Godzilla. What I also think I really enjoy about it is the fact that these monsters are a direct threat to the human characters. There's a certain horror element to that I really enjoyed, like in Frankenstein Conquers the World and War of the Gargantuas. It makes for a nice change of pace. And we're not watching 007 protect the princess, and then meanwhile, Ghidorah is just destroying the countryside. Right. I mean, the characters were integrated into the story with these monsters. For me, it really works. On the subject of monsters, what did you think of the newcomers?
I liked them a lot. I liked how they were puppets, actually. They weren't guys in suits, as far as I know, right? No. Especially with the spider, Kumanga. I think looked amazing. I mean, you really get down to it, it's really just a spider just doing this with its legs.
Yeah, that's it.
Just standing there, but it looked great, I thought.
The execution is really what kind of makes them terrifying and what makes them, in my opinion, a nice foil in this particular plot. A lot more threatening than Abera was.
And then the others are kind of seen as like bullies.
Kamacuras.
Yeah, almost like a bully towards Son of Godzilla.
They're incredibly weak. And I think that's what, for me, I don't know, it makes them kind of cool. They go up against Godzilla, and all Godzilla does is, shoots one ray of fire, and it's done, and the other one just like, oh shit, retreats. They're neat to watch because they are, again, they're marionettes and they work. For the most part, the cinematography and stuff like that just really make these creatures come to life. What do you want to talk about next? Do you want to talk about Minya? Or do you want to talk about Godzilla?
Oh, let's go with the big man. They changed up the suit. He's kind of fat.
It's
like if John Goodman and Cookie Monster had a love child, I think.
The story is that they tried to make Godzilla look more like Minya, which doesn't make a lick of sense because shouldn't Minya look more like Godzilla? Universally, I think most fans tend to agree that this is the worst looking Godzilla suit. And it really is. Is Godzilla female or male?
Yeah, there's no real mom traits or dad traits of Godzilla in this movie. It's more so just parent traits, which I think they did very wisely. Where did Godzilla's son come from?
There's no real clear answer about that. There's an egg on an island and Godzilla shows up, the egg hatches, and boom, there you go, you got little Minya. Apparently they were even thinking about doing a daughter of Godzilla, but then they were like, it doesn't work, let's just make it a son.
Of course, that doesn't work.
You're right.
Instead you have a Godzilla had sex with Buddy Hackett with Manila next?
Yeah, Manila.
What is that, Manila? Minya?
You know what's so weird?
Manila's the capital of the Philippines.
Manila is the official Japanese translation, but most English fans call him Minya because that's what he is called in the English dub of these movies. But the Japanese title is Minira because it's a mini Gojira. Oh,
Minira!
You get that? Oh boy.
I don't really have much to say. I don't like it. I think it's really stupid.
I'm surprised you're not seething with hate.
No, I'm nowhere near ripping up a poster. I think that throughout all of the entire franchise, I don't think they ever got a good-looking Son of Godzilla. I hate to say the best-looking one, maybe the '98 version, because it looked like a miniature version of the big one.
Baby Godzilla from Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2 in the Heisei movies looks pretty good. Of course, he gets super cutesy-wootsy in Space Godzilla, but then Godzilla Jr. is pretty cool in Destoroyah.
Destoroyah.
The suit design of Minya, I'm gonna have to agree with you on that. Yeah, it's
subpar.
Subpar, but I like Minya.
The character itself?
Yeah, I don't mind him so much. And there's a lot of hate towards Minya for a whole variety of reasons, but mostly because he's very lighthearted. He's this little chubby kid, who cries and
throws tantrums.
And he's learning how to use his fire breath and skipping rope with his dad's tail.
So I think that's a good segue into the humanization of these characters.
And that's one of the big things that fans hate about this movie. And you got to keep in mind, at the time that this movie came out, we're 1967. Gamera, the series, is in full throttle, and that that series is much more kiddie than Godzilla is. People theorize that Toho was kind of feeling the pinch of, hey, we gotta get that kid audience, But for me personally, it had to go this direction without it becoming, just the same old shit over and over and over and over and over.
And I didn't mind it at all. I think possibly because of that. It was something different to see him interacting in this way. If it was him stomping on buildings for an hour and a half, again, it would have been just another forgettable Godzilla movie, but this one stands out,
It does open up this is a hugely arguable point, but the character of Godzilla is not, sure, he shows a certain kind of affection towards Minya, but he still doesn't like the humans. The humans are still scared of him. Minya's not really scared of the humans.
Yeah.
Why should he know any better?
There's a childlike curiosity. In fact, doesn't Godzilla kind of come by and you can almost sense he's like, hey, don't associate with them.
Kind of, yeah.
Come with us.
Yeah, exactly. And he's still the grumpy fuck that he's been in the past several movies. But
he's a grumpy
it's just like the character is developing a little bit, and you need to have that. I don't think it was a humongous deterrent to the character, I think things like, having him fly with his fire breath, and having him, and I hate to say this, but because we both like Astro Monster, but having him dance, I think that was more detrimental to the character.
Absolutely.
Than having a little Godzilla be introduced and having some cutesy-wootsy scenes with them. For me personally, I thought it was more entertaining than the majority of standard Godzilla fare.
Agreed.
It's not as classic as something like Monster Zero, but for a secondary movie, it works.
It's too much hate. I think it's way underrated.
So do I.
I'm ready to see where the franchise takes it with the next entry.
Ooh, the next entry is by far one of the most legendary Godzilla movies of all time. It was scheduled to be the last Godzilla film ever to be shot. Production budget was upped. Aishiro Honda came back. Same with Tsuburaya Ifukube. And Tomoyuki Tanaka, the producer. This would be the last time that the four Godzilla fathers, who have been basically together since the original Godzilla, would collaborate on a movie. And by God, what an epic,
to build up right now sounds amazing.
Destroy All Monsters. So anyways, guys, the next review is Destroy All Monsters. We hope to see you back here. Thank you very much for sitting with us, listening to us rant and rave, and praise the son of Godzilla. And with that said, for Godzilla's sake, keep watching more tokusatsu for the good of mankind and yourselves. I'm Matt.
Brian.
Here to remind you to please collect responsibly and don't get stranded on any islands with giant bugs. It's pretty not good. So we'll see you later, guys.